So berms are what we use to direct water. We obviously want to direct water away from this house. Unfortunately, a big rain came, and although our berms were very effective, this went through one storm, and it was very satisfying to see how the water came down through here, hit the berm, and went off. It protected the house. But the biggest problem that we had happen, you see how this dirt looks different than this dirt? So all of this dirt eroded, hit the berm, filled up, and then all that water went over. And you can clearly see this. It's sort of like being a tracker. You can see where that water came through here, where it moved on down, where it broke through that berm, and then you can see the finer area where the water impacted there. And there's always, like, rain will leave its tracks, essentially. The most important way to thwart this issue is a very thick layer of pine straw. The secondary thing that can be done, we like to use brown top or ryegrass. This time of the year, we're going to use ryegrass. And then in the summertime, we would use brown top. But both of those grasses will very quickly establish and start putting roots out. Probably within a month, you'll have a root bed that is fairly effective. But the number one thing, like if we had pine straw through here, this probably would not have happened to the severity. There would still be some issues, but not as severe as what you see in here. So one last little thing, we're gonna walk down here. And a lot of times whenever we have silt that gets onto grass, let me just zoom in here. You can see where there's some grass, but then it all got covered with silt. We take the pressure washer and we pressure wash our grass. That helps out a lot. If it's dry, then you can break it up and use a blower, which is a little bit less messy. But if it's not, if it's wet and caked on there, I like to use a pressure washer. But again, study the signs with where your water goes. This pipe was buried, but the problem with new, fresh dirt is that it erodes very easily. This is one other thing to communicate to a customer. A lot of times we'll do a yard, and even if you compact that dirt, when it gets wet, you will leave footprints in the dirt. And people, a lot of times they go, oh gosh, it's gonna be like that forever. No, it'll be like that for a good month, but eventually that dirt is going to set up and life will be good. But so we encourage people to stay off the grass until the dirt can set up, because wet dirt is mud, and everyone knows that you sink into mud. But that is a business principle of controlling expectations. If you tell people what's going to happen before it happens, then you win points. But if you tell them afterwards, they're dubious about whether or not you're just selling them a line or not. So controlling expectations, saying, hey, this is what you can expect. It's sort of like a plastic surgeon saying, you know what, when you get done with the surgery, you're going to be uglier for about 2 weeks because there's swelling and everything else. So you gotta let your patient know that it's not going to be great at first. So a little bit more wisdom here on this topic.